Good evening. It's a pleasure to see you all tonight, and thank you for stopping by. I do love this time of year, and I do enjoy bumping into a fellow traveler here in the cemetery. Now, careful, you're standing on some of the most hallowed ground in the yard, and, well, anywhere, really. You know, it was such a hard time then. We were at war. Seemed like everyone was pitted against somebody. I hear you all still have that same trouble today, but there were so many conflicts, so many conflicted feelings that some people, they changed sides, some because they wanted to, some because they had to. But the boys and men right here around us, well, they died for the noblest of reasons, for the cause. I wasn't quite so lucky. Oh, forgive me, please allow me to make an introduction. My name is Crowell, Elijah C. Crowell. See, I lived in these parts over in the western part of the county. We called it Jackson County back then till Jackson County moved a little further out to the west. I was born in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina in 1809. A lot of European folk had settled around there, made a confederacy out of 6 counties, and we called the area Salisbury. Today, you all know that area as Charlotte of North Carolina. I sometimes wonder what life would have been if I'd just stayed put. There was unrest against the British there, as there would be throughout the country. Mother, a woman of Irish Catholic descent, knew something about unrest against the crown. Seems like anywhere she and Daddy went, there was trouble. And, well, I suppose conflict, it was my birthright. Fighting for a cause is in my blood. And, well, it robbed me of it, too. I took a shot right to the heart out in the woods on my own land. Felt that lead blast into my chest and a fire shoot through my body, and I hit the ground that was hard and cold. It was getting way down in the fall. It was October 28th, 63, right in the middle of the war. I remember looking up at the black sky, dark, a lot darker than it is now with all these gas lanterns and things flickering. The stars up there just sort of twinkled. And I remember all the constellations sort of just melted together, and then everything faded to black. Oh, well, I guess I should tell you a little more about how that happened. And the answer to that is, well, we're not really sure. As a matter of fact, we're not sure where my final earthly resting place even is. I'm the only one of us you'll meet tonight who doesn't rest here underfoot in the Cookeville City Cemetery. We do know that they brought my body home, but as to why I was in that condition, well, history tells more than one tale. We do know it was that pernicious pretty man, or you may better know him as Pert Jones. He and his rowdy bunch were marauding through the hillside, where they laid in wait for me, and they attacked. Some say he went just like his daddy, and his daddy before him, that Captain Pert, to the Union. Some say he was doing his duty to his country coming after me like that. Some say he robbed me of Confederate gold. But some say he was a bushwhacker. Bushwhackers, you see, they roamed the hillsides, a randy band of marauding men with no loyalty but to themselves and not a bit of mercy. They took the land and the lives of anyone who stood in the way of it. All the while, new borders being drawn, battle lines crossed. My boy David and Fayette McDowell, they say they saw Yankees right here were just as close as White Plains. You never knew who you were going to run into, especially in the dark of night. See, about that time, it was hard to know who was your friend or your enemy. If you believe the portraits you see, it's always 2 distinct sides, 2 lines, one blue, one gray, charging at one another to see who had the most number of still-beating hearts once the gun smoke cleared and all the cries and screams had stopped. But for most of us, it just wasn't that easy. The records say that my 300-acre farm and grist mill I started with the very Honorable Joseph Y. McKee, rest his soul, got passed down and recorded, so surely nothing was taken from me. And yet still there I lay on that cold ground, realizing quietly that I wouldn't live to see another November. Well, sure, I joined the Army of the South. We all did. It wasn't what I'd planned on doing at the age of 52. By that time, I'd already been Justice of the Peace, and you may have even seen me up here on the first Putnam County Quarterly Court. The farm and the mill were producing. Life was good. Well, sure, we'd heard talk about the unrest, about a storm that was coming. I didn't know that storm would take all my boys. You may see 'em shuffling around here some nights, maybe even tonight. Maffet, he's my oldest. Well, we know that some bushwhackers got him, but he fought bravely with Gore's army first, and I bet he got some good licks in. Charles, he's my second boy. Well, like the rest of us, he volunteered for the cause. We thought he'd been killed, but actually he was captured at Stones River and was part of a prisoner exchange, he wrote to us, and he stayed in all the way to Appomattox. David and John, well, they were part of the Highlanders, that's Company K, the 16th Tennessee Infantry. You know, the boys from right here in Putnam County. John, well, he died down at Stones River New Year's Eve of 1863, shot to the head. He hung in there about 15 days, they say. David, well, he was captured in that same battle. Somehow he got himself free, and the records say that he pledged loyalty in Nashville to the Union along about 64. Thank Providence I wasn't alive to see that. David, well, he just sort of drifted away somewhere after his mother was already gone, and spring had come without me in it that year. And I guess he felt like an orphan. Probably didn't know where his loyalties laid anymore. I can't blame the boy. They say he drifted on down to Alabama. That's a nice place, I hear. I'm proud of all my young'uns. There were 2 more boys and 5 lovely girls that shared my name. And David, well, before he disappeared, he did leave me with a lovely poem that he wrote about me, just for me. And I'd be obliged for you to let me share it with you all tonight. He wrote, "A neighbor man kind to his family quite dear, and always to his neighbors a friend evermore. He was for the South, dear Dixie sweet, and all his brave countrymen he kindly did greet. To the army of the South he did not belong, not because he thought that it would be wrong, neither because he was not a true sage, but because he was quite over volunteer age. He had 4 sons when the war first began, who volunteered freely, a nice little band, and bravely they fought at many times since, except one who fell in liberty's defense. They've killed them all, the harmless old man too. They can only kill one more, that's very true. He's shared the fate of a brave volunteer to take care of his sisters and brother, for they feel quite dear. This good citizen was censured by some who were not friends of their country nor home. To kill him was their object. They lay around his farm and said to kill a Secesh would be no harm. Accordingly, he was driven from his home, o'er hills and valleys of did roam, and alas, was overtaken, party quite strange, to whom mercy nor justice did not belong. They slaughtered him there in the woods all alone, except the bloody mob, no mercy was shown. No man was allowed his body to remove, but the ladies in the country patriotic did prove. They carried his body o'er loathsome land, and delivered it to his children, a heartbroken band. Heartbroken indeed, their father to see, shot through the heart and bleeding so free. Thus their last parent was taken away, for their mother was called in a former day. She was a good woman, and just before she died, she called her dear children around her bedside. Good advice then to her children was given, and a kind invitation to meet a mother in heaven. Soon after she expired, as on her bed she lay, her spirit by angels was wafted away. Now, dear children, a word here to you from a friend that to you will ever prove true. Your mother's advice, both good and plain, I hope you'll obey it, that you may meet her again."